Thank you. And thank you for being here. Last talk of the day. I know some of you were expecting to see Jessica here. Sorry. Thank you. I understand that you're a bit tired after a whole day of watching talks and yesterday watching talks. So I brought some treats. I know half of you are here for the treats. There is one. Oh, wait a second. So there's one thing you guys should realize. Well, two things. One is this is an interactive talk, so I need input from you. Secondly, I'm the only one being filmed here. So as far as my mom knows, who will be watching this is a huge audience. I've brought some chocolate.
Caramel zeker? Oh ja. Best talk of the day.
This was one of my better decisions today. Oh. Thank you for being here. I'm Martijn. I'm lead policy and innovation at this actually. That's a made-up title. I live and work in Rotterdam. I was born there. I studied there. I still live there with my fiance and my dog. That's Pooh. Pooh is a chow chow. And I'm very interested in languages and cultures. I try to travel a lot, a bit less now that I've got responsibilities. But this talk will take you through a few things that I've discovered over the time and things that you will have to take into consideration once you go global in whatever way. Your application or your website tries to reach different audiences, people that speak different languages, different regions, whatsoever. That's what we'll be focusing on today. It's an interactive talk, give you some input, I'll be asking you some questions, I'm expecting some answers. Some of those will be wrong. If they're right, you probably were there when I gave the talk earlier. That's what I'm assuming it is. Before we start, there are two things that I want to introduce you to, if you don't know the definitions yet. One of them is internationalization. And internationalization is the process of designing a software application so that it can be adapted to various languages and regions without engineering changes. So this is not the actual process of translating your website or application. It's simply the adaptation of your software to enable that. Once you've done the internationalization process, you start the localization process, which is actually the process of adapting the internationalized software you built earlier for a specific region or language by translating text and adding local specific components. Those are two definitions that you need to know if you're going to do something with globalization, translating, whatsoever. I will not be using those two definitions in the talk anymore. You can find them on Wikipedia, that's where I get them. Yeah, let's dive into them. I've got 8 topics that people tend to be a little bit surprised about that I want to introduce you to. The first one is an easy one, that's date formats. Which date is this?
11 June.
6th of November, 11th of June. Both are correct, of course. There are 3 formats that we normally use. These 3 too. The first one, first day, then month, then year. Second one, the wrong one, that's the American one. And then there's the actually right one, year, month, day. The other one you can't really confuse, the one I prefer. But these are just a matter of preference. It's not that I prefer year to be first, and hence that's what I expect you to use. Even though this is the international standard. Because these are all right as well. Even if you agree that it should be year, month, day, you still need different formats. Here are a few examples. And these differ per region and per language. So if you're going to do anything with dates in your website or application, you can try to adapt this for every single language. You can do that, good luck. But PHP, the programming language that lies behind WordPress, has a few built-in things for you. If you're going to do something custom, this is the way you should be doing it. Use the date formatter that was built in. If you don't know anything about programming, just ignore this bit, we'll move on. Where you pass along first the language and local, then the date format, and then the time format. Pass this along, and you get different values for different for different languages and different locals. Sorry, looks like this. So you're all set. Great. Note that you immediately see the wrong one as well. Easily stands out without you needing to change anything. This is the easiest one, date formats. Everyone knows this. Let's move on. Currency formats, currency usage. If we do something with currencies in a website, for example, one of the things that I see most commonly being done is this. We have a euro sign, we put a number beyond it, 2 numbers after the comma, done. So, this, for example, this looks right. This is right. This is a great number. And this makes sense as well. So we know that sometimes we have to change the sign. A dollar sign, United States dollars, easy. So change the sign if you need different currencies. So what's the difference here?
The comma.
The period.
The comma and period. Yeah.
Could be Canada, could be
Who's that say?
Australia, could be.
Yeah.
There are a lot of dollars in the world.
There are a lot of dollars in the world. This is Canadian, for example. So you could say, to make things easier, just put the actual value sign, including the letters, in there, and everyone knows what to do. This might seem like a thing you don't need to do, because everyone knows. I'm on an American website, you need American dollars, right? There are a few questions here. But the most important one, how much were they charged? This is an article from The Guardian, a British newspaper who uses pounds. So I've got no clue. I'm guessing they were charged Australian dollars by Australian court, but it's an American company, I don't know. Okay, so no usage of just the euro sign. We're changing euro sign to the sign, and we're including letters. Fine, USD dollars. So US dollar sign. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Back to our example. These are euros. 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 What's the difference?
Punten, komma, spaties.
And why?
Regions.
Different locals, different languages. So even if you agree, we all use the same value, we all use euros in Europe. Easy, fair enough. We still got this issue. And you've got this for euros, you've got this for dollars as well. So dollars still have different representation in the Netherlands than they do in Germany, for example. Good news, PHP supports this. No need to build hacky systems here to check everything manually, just use the number formatter that is built in PHP. Easy enough. And now we get the following result. Note how the other one using commas stands out again.
What's a kilometer?
What's a kilometer? Good question. That's two. Is there anyone who has a clue what I'm going to be talking about when I mention grammatical numbers?
Oh, thank you.
You've got a guess. Go ahead.
The spaces between the words for numbers.
Spaces between the
Or together or...
word form of numbers. Yeah? Okay, that's a fair guess. Other guesses? No, because this is something you don't realize if you just use Dutch and English. Because, well, you know your grammatical numbers. Let's dive into them with an example. What's this? One apple. Thank you very much. So what's this?
Two apples.
Yeah, you got the gist. 2 apples. What do we have here?
3 apples.
3 apples.
3 apples. 3 apples. So we can make a syntax out of this. Apparently, The format's easy. We've got the number, and we've got one apple or apples. Easy enough. Let me show you the syntax for Arabic apples.
So, okay. Oh, Jezus.
In Arabic, there's a special form for 1 and 2. They've got their own forms. So you would have 1 apple, 2 apples, and 3 apples. But then for 11 and 12, there's a special form. For 30 to 99, there's a different form. Except when it's the opposite gender. I don't know. Sorry, I don't speak Arabic. But this is literally the table you need to get your numbers right in Arabic. And this is just one example. Yeah.
The apple, when I speak Maltese, which is like Arabic.
Yeah?
The apple is considered as a female. In Arabic or Maltese, like a car is a female, a ship is a male. We have like
Yeah?
so the verbs change and
Great system, love it. We've got this in Dutch as well, and in English. Apples are. Anyone got a clue? Is an apple male, female? Or maybe it has no gender?
Male or female?
Male.
Male.
I don't know. It's either male or female, because otherwise it would be het apple, which it isn't. Other than that, I don't know, because it doesn't really matter in Dutch. Unless you're attributing something to the apple. So, in Dutch, apologize, de appel zijn of de appel haar stiltje. No clue. No one knows in Dutch, and that's fine, that's fine. So these are grammatical numbers, and there are a lot of forms for grammatical numbers. So the most basic one is singular versus plural. This is what we use in Dutch and English. So 1 apple, multiple apples, and 0 apples. Easy. What do you think this means? What is a collective form? What is a collective apple?
Misschien verschillende rassen appels?
De man.
No, there are no different races of apples.
Possession of the apple.
No, it doesn't exist for apples, luckily. But collective is something we have in Dutch and English. Snoep, candy, would be an example. It has a collective form instead of a plural form. So we know that one. We don't realize we do, but we know it. What's the dual form?
Ja, als je er 2 hebt.
Yeah. If you've got 2 of them, that's the special case we saw in Arabic, where 2 has its own form. We've got some rests of that as well in English and Dutch. Both, neither, either are forms of dual. Yeah.
Also, historically speaking, it was 1 vark, 2 varken, and more varkens. But
Yeah.
in modern Dutch, it's just varken and varkens.
Yes, we actually used to have this form not only as both, as the word both, but also for nouns itself. There's a special case for this for 3 as well. We don't use that, and there are no residues in English as well, but it exists in some languages. This also happens for quadral and quintal forms, which is 4 and 5. Then there's a paucal form. Paucal is best translated to a few. A few apples can have different forms as well. And then there are a few obscure ones that are only used in some island states. Well, if you don't have internet, you're not my target audience. Sorry. Grammatical numbers. Anyone who learned something new already?
Yeah. Yes.
Great. Okay. Then a fun one. Emoji and symbol meanings. Emojis are a lot of times seen as a great solution to language problems. Because hey, we don't speak the same language, but we both understand what this means. This is an easy one. What does this mean?
Great.
okay.
Great.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
great.
yours.
Of your spell. This is how the American soldiers were greeted with when they entered Iraq, which they thought was great. They were appreciated. Hey, you're welcome. We're liberating you. This was also, I later learned a thing when the like button was introduced in Facebook. I spoke to a Facebook engineer who told us that Turkey had a little bit of delay when introducing the like button. Because they also found out apparently that this means something else in that region. Over time, you see that people in Turkey and Iraq and other countries that normally used up yours started to use it as like and okay as well. But this is the meaning that they used to have. What's this?
Applause.
Applause, yeah, thank you.
Sometimes also sort of sarcasm, I think.
Sarcasm, it's used for sarcasm a lot by Gen Z.
Slow
My generation, slow clap, yeah. Anything else? No?
Congratulations.
Chinese see something else in this.
Oh,
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. This is blinking out,
That's
Chinese.
an interesting.
Thanks for the applause anyway. Last one, I think. This one. How would you use it? Innocent. Yeah. I hear
Frisbee
that a
on
lot.
your head.
Sorry, what?
Frisbee on your head.
Frisbee on your head, yeah. Sure, why not?
Holy or something?
This is an angel of death.
Oh.
This is how a Chinese person would describe your innocence. Good. Next one.
Smiling.
I think there are a lot of people who are in my generation see the same thing in here. This is distrust. This is not a good sign.
Distrust.
Are there people here who also see this as a distrust emoji?
No.
My generation?
There is something wrong with your generation.
We know. Yeah, well, we could not get out of those.
Hey, don't insult our younger speaker.
Code of conduct. Sorry.
Great. So this is kind of great. Fifth one. A different word order. This one you know because most of you speak two languages. I think it's nearly no one here who only speaks one. No. So you know that you can't simply put words in the same order in English and expect a good sentence to come out of that if you don't speak English as a native language. If I say welcome to WordCamp Netherlands, I could do this, and this is what I see in, I think, nearly 80% of code bases that I encounter. Welcome to. That's the translatable part in my template. And then there's the dynamic part. So, WordCamp Netherlands or WordCamp Amsterdam. What if someone wanted to translate this to Hindi? Anyone who speaks Hindi? Great, I've got a Hindi example. Don't fact check. No, I've had this fact check live. Great stuff. This is Hindi, where WordCamp Netherlands, the dynamic part of my sentence, all of a sudden is in the beginning of my sentence now. So if I'm enabling translators to work with my application to translate that, then I have to give them the option to change the order of my sentence or even whole text. And that includes the dynamic parts. The easiest way to do this is to enable placeholders. Simply put a placeholder in your text. In PHP, this would be the normal way to do it. Use the $S. The $S describes a string, a literal text that can be inserted there. Well, great, we've moved this up. Sorry, this isn't completely WordPress, by the way. I know. Great, so now someone can translate this. So the dynamic part is now included in the translation string, and this will be replaced. But be aware, what if you've got multiple dynamic parts in your sentence? What if I'm introducing you, so I need your name and I need the event you're going to, for example. Then what? Because if I'm now going to translate this, I might still be swapping words.
Oh, you have the $1, $2.
Thanks very much. No, you've got a way in PHP to name your dynamic arguments. That looks like this. And now someone can simply, someone knows that the first one is the event, the second one is the name. Great, now they can move it around if they need to or want to. There's another advantage to this. You can now reuse them. Makes life a little bit easier. Nice little trick. Okay, I've got a question for you. I'll give you a little bit of time. One of the first bugs in WordPress was a translation bug, and it looked something like this. The Japanese site broke because the translation string looked something like this. What went wrong?
They were parsing it from right to left.
The percentage sign. The percentage sign tells us that we're going to see a variable, but we didn't see a variable. If you're going to be working with this and you're new to this, please know that you've got to escape percentage signs. You do that this way. And this way it won't be seen as a dynamic part, but as a literal instead. Are you still with me?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Great. Got 3 more to go. Different word lengths. This is a logical one. Should have had to explain this to anyone. This is a nice mobile menu. This is a nice Portuguese menu. Good trick.
Happened.
This happens a lot. That's actual lot. There are a few ways to fix this. One is to be a better designer. Sorry. Another one is to use symbols or emojis. These work great. Everyone understands emojis. I've got a few more examples of where this goes wrong. So if you see designs like this, here. Well, actually, I've only got one example. Chinese has very short words. Works great for them, doesn't work for us. So be aware, please. One of the best ways to fix this on mobile is to simply use the whole area and allow for breaks if you need to. Your design has to work for your content, not the other way around. There's another instance in which this can go wrong. Imagine this is my meta description. I've got a limit of 160 characters because I know that if I go over 160 characters, Google cuts it off. I think, I don't know, I'm not a SEO expert. But I've been told 160 characters, stick to that. So I'm writing a meta text. And I'm super happy because this is 159 characters. I did a great job. I'll send this over to my translator and I expect him to put the same words in there in German. German is a pretty long language. This doesn't work. So be aware when you're working with languages and limits. Then there's sorting differences. This is one I've almost never seen done correctly. Nearly never, not a single application. I've made this mistake a lot. This is the German alphabet. This is the Swedish alphabet. Those are the same letters, but they're in a different order. And this is super annoying if you're actually German, or if you're actually Swedish, and you use these letters. I mean, we don't use them that much, but Germans use them. They're very happy with them. Also, I didn't put the riddled S in there. Please forgive me. That's all. But that means that if I've got a list of names, that a German person called Müller is going to look for it here. Well, this is a terrible example. A German person called Mailer is going to look for it here at the A. A Swedish person will expect it at a whole different place. So if I'm looking up someone and I can't find them here, and I'm encountering an E, I will stop looking. Because clearly, Mailer is not in my list. But if a Swedish person is making a website, I'll be missing that one. Luckily, PHP has built-in way around this. You can use a collator to sort things, and still use your sort function like you normally do. Easy. Nothing difficult about this. This is built-in, people simply don't realize that they need to use this.
WordPress has a hook for this in the internationalization part because it has to do the same for sorting posts or whatever when they start with this letter. So there is in the internationalization, depending on what language you have, it has that table as well. And if you're in another language, you can select that table for the language you want. So if you're in Dutch and you want to give a German list, you can hook it to that selector, to that hook.
Thank you. Great. Last thing, names. Names go wrong all the time. There are a few rules about names. One of them, people have exactly one canonical full name. Is there anyone who has more? See, told you. No, this is false. This is ridiculous. And Finland, for example, is a great example. In Finland, it's super normal to have multiple names. You've got a different name for your family than you've got a name for your friends, for example. Those are different names. So, goodbye Facebook. You'll have to choose. They force you to choose one. This also debugs the second rule people usually make up. People at least use one name. So, Facebook, for example, will tell you, well, just pick one you use and that's it. That doesn't work for those people. Another rule, names don't change. There are so many reasons why names change, so many reasons. People change their names because they get married. I'm getting married. Maybe I'll get divorced later, sorry. People change don't tell them this is recorded. People change their names because of abuse. They don't want to be reminded of their old name. They change it because they changed their gender. They changed it as a political statement. That sounds ridiculous, but Christopher Garner did it. He is now called KentuckyFriedCruelty.com. In the US, you can do this. This is perfectly fine. You can do this. Brandy Doris, difficult name, doesn't matter. He's now called Bringing These Animals.com. Martin Richardson is now called Pro-Life. No two whites do good, but they can. Even that, they can. People's names are case sensitive. That's not necessarily true. Consider case insensitive. Also not true. Good luck. People's names do not contain numbers. They actually can. Anyone remember what the kid of Elon Musk was named? Yeah. I'm not talking about Einstein here, by the way. That's a whole different instance. I'll give you some time. Thank you. People have different first and last names. I have no clue why, but there are applications that actually validate whether your first and your last name are different. I don't know why. There's a whole page of people called Thomas, because which Thomas do you? These are all famous. People have the same first and last name, a lot. People have last names. Some people don't even have last names. There are a lot of regions where you don't have last names. Any guesses?
Netherlands, before
That's a long time ago. Yeah. Indonesia doesn't have last names, or some regions do. Afghanistan, Bhutan, Myanmar, Mongolia, Tibet, southern India. Those regions have groups of people that don't use last names, that have last names. That's perfectly fine. You should still let them sign up. They might have money to spend at your website. Okay, well, at least someone has a name when they're born. They get a name, right? Oh. In Iceland, for example, you have to wait a few weeks before you can register a name. You're simply not allowed to register a name earlier. In India, there are cultures where you wait. That might take years because child mortality rates are very high, so they think it's unlucky to give them a name too early. Jewish people, some of them wait 8 days before giving them a name. Greek people might wait until baptism. Well, you got the idea. Okay, well, at least people have names. It's clearly not true, we just saw that. There's a great article about this. It's called Falsehoods Programmers Believe About Names. It's from Patrick McKinsey. He has multiple names, which is why he wrote down all of those statements and many, many more. You should check that out if you're interested. Great article. And that's all I've got for you. Thank you.
So,
Do you share your slides anywhere?
I wasn't smart enough to think about it. but I can if you want. I didn't finish my slides, I see. So there's a half slide here. That's my LinkedIn page. That's the easiest way to reach me. I'm also always looking for great colleagues. So if you actually know that there's a hook in WordPress to sort things, hey, you might be a great fit to our team. Connect with me if you're interested or on my slides. That's it.
Okay, and we have of course to know that Robin Martijn can also be called Martijn Robin. So, but thank you anyway for this great talk. This is a backpack especially made for you and all the other speakers. This was the last talk of today.